We all know the basis of our planet. Roughly 70% of it is water, while the other 30% is land. Our planet does a lot of things, including its own natural processes and cycles. Naturally, our planet is like the calm individual who moseys about his business and stays patient while its natural processes are ongoing. But the problem is, everything has its setbacks. And in this case, for our planet, we are those setbacks. I know it sounds oh so incredibly crazy. No? Considering that we are already the majority of the reason why our planet is declining. But the truth of the matter is, we just aren't living sustainably. And that needs to change. Hey! So today we're going to be talking about one issue that's been bothering our planet quite a bit recently. In short, this issue is what is affecting ecosystems in our aquatic systems, and it creates what's called dead zones. Yeah, the name's blatant, but it's not wrong. This process in particular is a big deal, and it's referred to as eutrophication. And the natural form of eutrophication doesn't actually cause much harm. With runoff from precipitation and limiting nutrients entering oceans, this causes algae to bloom, and more oxygen is going to be used as a result. In these conditions, Olympic diving and 100-meter swimming would certainly be a lot more difficult, let's say. Anyways, natural eutrophication has never had very low oxygen levels to the point where the vicious dead zone would be created. In fact, the process of natural eutrophication is incredibly slow. Anyone would like to take a guess on how long? Good guesses. However, there is an exact amount, but the range goes from hundreds of thousands of years. So, what actually makes this a global issue? Is this process being overexploited? Then none other than ourselves. So, one of the major issues here is our trash. Farmers, in particular, using fertilizer that eventually runs off is a major contributor to the runoff we cause. Other factors include the feeding operations of animals and sewage treatments. These start what is known as cultural eutrophication. Darn. Basically, natural eutrophication, but worse. What makes this worse is the fact that the algae bloom is so much to the point where a dead zone is created. They use too much oxygen up, and organisms start to die. Now that's not good, is it?
This is where we get to the root of the problem. Countries that are poorer than us are more likely to have more harmful effects from these events. But that doesn't mean we won't be affected much. Our agriculture industry is causing roughly half of the nitrogen and phosphorus to be released into the atmosphere. And if you didn't know, those are both nutrients that can easily penetrate the bodies of water. The issue is, with our country in particular, actions only start getting done when a strict regulation or agency gets introduced. And that isn't easy to do. What also makes this an issue is its value economically and politically. If only people started considering the environmental value, which is the reason why this exists in the first place. But let's look into how this procedure actually affects us. We can see how the water turns green, and although productivity would increase due to more oxygen usage, it would drastically decline by the time oxygen is depleted and hypoxia forms. And notice how the time is decades. Remember, centuries was the shortest amount of time natural eutrophication would take. So eutrophication caused by humans, or cultural eutrophication, is approximately 10 times quicker. So as you can see, a lot of aquatic species that live in our lakes, and areas with less salt concentrations in general, are in jeopardy. With all of this information and the understanding of this problem, for many years, you would think that this would be getting better. And so did I. More on the topic of what's being done later. But in short, people just don't see it as important and have little to no awareness of the situation. And we need to stand up if we want to make a change. One way to do this is, of course, inform people in the public about it. After all, there are a lot of people out there who consume a lot of seafood and vitamins. Surely the fact that dead zones caused by eutrophication will deplete their favorite fish and vital nutrients will stick in their heads for at least a few minutes.
In all seriousness though, our country and our region has many landmarks that we need to consider. Take Barnegat Bay, for example. So far, farmers have been encouraged to reduce fertilizer usage, and algae blooms are looking to be prevented with the help of New Jersey's Department of Environmental Protection. This is looking to sustain aquatic life in the bay and keep our economy steady. However, the Barnegat Bay has been having an increase of jellyfish species, such as sea nettles, because of eutrophication itself, which doesn't affect much, but still something that should be taken note of. If we look throughout our entire country, though, we can determine that the Gulf of Mexico is a historical aspect in terms of eutrophication, that, in fact, it's known for having nearly dead zones. The main reason for this, though, is because of its link with the Mississippi River. Farmers across numerous states that excessively use fertilizers will travel straight towards the Gulf. Additionally, a past report regarding anthropogenic eutrophication from a news reporting website called Frontiers in Marine Science stated, "Eutrophication caused by anthropogenic nutrient inputs is one of the greatest threats to the health of coastal estuarine and marine ecosystems worldwide. Globally, about 24% of anthropogenic nitrogen is released in coastal watersheds and reach coastal ecosystems. In other words, approximately 1/4 of nitrogen produced by us is released into marine ecosystems and harming the organisms inhabiting the waters."
The main goal of all of this is to reduce the amount of oxygen-depleted zones in the country. While there are laws in place such as the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act that make this easier to accomplish, there's also barriers that are going to deter people from wanting to fix the issue. These barriers, mostly mentioned earlier in this video, are the general cost of fixing this, the farmer's necessity of fertilizer, the general unawareness of the public, and the classic case of governmental neglect. But what do we do from here? We could either A, implement the policies of other nations, such as China enforcing the ecological restoration of lakes and controlling pollution, or we could just spread awareness and educate others about this issue. And with the first solution being in way higher powers than just us, we're going to have to follow the latter, most likely, being just spread education about eutrophication. Maybe we could have made Finding Nemo an educational PSA about the effects of eutrophication on a marine environment and not whatever that movie was about. If everyone does their part, our future won't just be green and murky waters with a sign of the permanent extinction of important aquatic organisms. We could make it not that. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.